Tiger Woods has launched his own brand of golf apparel.
Tiger Woods officially announces his new apparel and footwear brand, Sunday Red.
Watching him walk down a fairway without the swoosh on his toe.
I just think this Sunday Red thing is going to be a failure.
Sunday Red was to be an elite golf brand, making some of the most highly desirable clothing, accessories, and more for the golf world out there. After all, Tiger was the elite of the elite and already held a certain position in golf manufacturing, as we all remember the TW logo that graced Nike shirts for well over a decade and became one of the most well-known and most desirable badges to have on your golf equipment. But in 2024, Sunday Red was brought into a different world, one where the legitimacy of the brands is made through creators and influencers, while Tiger Woods has hardly been a feature in the media or in the minds of the masses at all anymore. So no matter what, it would have been incredibly difficult for Sunday Red to successfully break into the market. So let's look at what they did do, why it didn't go so well, and why it may have been their plan to do so from the very beginning. On February 12, 2024, Tiger Woods came out announcing a new company in collaboration with his longtime club sponsor Taylormade to create a lifestyle brand that could reflect a new stage of Tiger's career. From the jump, Sunday Red was aiming to be one of the most high in demand and elite companies in the golf space. They used a lot of marketing jargon to try and differentiate themselves from the competition, to separate themselves from everything else that was out there. But the point is that Sunday Red had this certain attention to detail that has accompanied Tiger his entire career and is a pillar of the company overall, like the 15 stripes in the Tiger logo to represent his 15 majors, and apparently the small callbacks to Tiger's career that would be included in some of the pieces that they would come out with. All of that talk from Tiger, the guys at Taylormade, and the general public really cooked up some expectations around the company, as this would really be the first time in a very long time that golfers got the Tiger Woods marketing gimmick that Nike had latched onto for years before and that I've talked about in other videos, but this time it seemed to come from the mouth of the man himself.
Well, Sunday Red. Well, it kind of says it. You know, it's me, right? I've worn red on Sundays.
They would kind of revolutionize golf equipment, or at least that's what they wanted to do, and what they wanted everyone to focus on. But they were all focusing on this instead. The 15-stripe Tiger logo and Sunday Red design was almost immediately picked on by the vast majority of the golf community. And I very much so agreed. It's a large deviation from the norm in golf equipment, and especially from the TW logo that we have been seeing for years. People online memed it, they joked around about it, they tried to fix it even with some renditions looking similar but like this, and that was really the main focus of all the talk and all the turmoil around the company. But it was that, combined with what Sunday Red had on their website at the beginning, saying they were going to bring a new and elevated standard to performance wear and luxury lifestyle fashion, that really pushed everything about the brand to the edge of the cliff and made it very difficult to succeed. Like, okay, golf historically has been a very wealthy, you could argue probably pretentious sport. But a lot of what Tiger meant was breaking down those barriers as well, opening up the door to golfers around the world. He inspired so many because he was different, played the game differently than everybody else, and that was really good for the game. But now Tiger had jumped to the complete other side of that argument with this elite brand, creating this luxury product for that 1% of golfers, of people in the world. And it was that, combined with everything I said before, that really went about basically pushing the company off of that cliff. On May 1st, 2024, after the excitement, or rather discussion, that occurred after seeing Tiger grace the grounds at Augusta National donning their interesting Tiger logo on his chest, Sunday Red released their first set of golf training lifestyle equipment to the masses. They did it in a drop format where 10,000 people were given the ability to buy things off their website while others were left in the dark. And that drop tactic is something that a lot of luxury brands or streetwear brands tend to do when opening up, because they want to be able to control the amount of their product out in the market. But this time, it felt a little bit different. $115 polos, $135 hoodies, and $60 cotton t-shirts. We knew that they were going to hit a luxury market, the more wealthier individual in the golf market, which is saying something considering how wealthy golf is in general. On top of that, Sunday Red completely missed with their timing, having the drop come a whole month after the Masters, which could have been an absolutely incredible time to drop gear when talk about Tiger and his funky logo were at the peak, and when when the equipment was being shown to more people than any Facebook ad could ever dream of. Strictly from a marketing perspective, that would have been perfect to drop the company at that time, make things available to purchase because they wanted to wear what Tiger was wearing, what they were seeing him wear on Thursday and Friday and repping at Augusta. But they missed the ball with that completely. And it's unbelievable to me that they would miss the drop by such a tight margin, especially when announcing it on February 14th. When Nike dropped almost anything related to Tiger Woods after 2000, their timing was almost always perfect. And on top of that, their market was absolutely huge because nothing with Tiger's name was insanely expensive. There was definitely an upcharge on it, a Tiger tax, but it wasn't anything grotesque, and they very clearly were providing products to the fans of an athlete in the same way they had done with Jordan and his shoes back in the day. They had learned from one and applied those tactics to the other. With Jordan, they found a market point where their hardcore fans were still willing and able to buy the product, either because they wanted to show that they were fans of MJ or also even just thought the shoe was cool. Nike TW stuff was the same way. Yeah, sure, most of them were to fans, but they weren't totally out of the reach of people that really didn't care about Tiger and just thought the equipment was cool. Sunday Red doesn't have that ability, or at least didn't have that at the beginning. Because of that, well, it left most fans really only able to justify the purchase of a hat now or a small accessory, and not necessarily as much as they could have or wanted to pick up. But I'm going to say something a little bit controversial here. I don't agree with my initial opinion that the Sunday Red logo, Tiger and all, is ugly. It looks nice on a sweater and I would probably wear it. And realistically, I don't think it's nearly as bad as a lot of people were making it out to be. Just look at this. Here's Sunday Red, Malbon Golf, and Kith all next to each other. All that are kind of hitting the same bit of the golf market. I don't think any of them are masterpieces. This isn't Van Gogh, it's just a company's logo. And I think Sunday Red looks solid even compared to these guys, and even if it looks simple or not necessarily thought out, as a lot of the arguments were saying it was at the early stages. I still think it's fun to make fun of, and I still think it's different and quirky, but that doesn't make it bad, and that doesn't make it something I wouldn't want on my shirt. Look at the logo next to Arc'teryx, another luxury, elite kind of kitschy brand that sells pretty well. They're both weird looking, so I don't think it's the greatest argument to make that because it's ugly, it doesn't sell well. But I still think it's reasonable to argue that it probably doesn't do great in general, that it doesn't make the sales that they probably expected it to do so. I've never seen anything besides a hat worn in public. Not at Bethpage Black when I filmed the Nike video, nowhere else throughout the rest of the year. And yes, that's a small sample size of the entire golf population, but from seeing things and reviews and articles and posts online, I don't see any reason to really disagree with that opinion. I've read those articles and those posts online about Sunday Red, and what people are saying about the company, considering what we have learned earlier, it's kind of remarkable. In almost every case, the reviewers, journalists, or average Joes on Twitter are raving about the quality of Sunday Red. Now, I'm not saying it's surprising to me that they are good or that they're better than a lot of people have experienced with other hats and things like that, because it is so expensive. But that also keys me in on something else, that maybe they should be selling more if all of these articles and posts are coming out in such a positive light. So why hasn't this public talk or positive discussion around Sunday Red changed the view of it, or at least the sales of it around the world? Well, for one, Tiger isn't playing golf right now, right? It's the off season for most guys on tour, so we aren't really hearing much about golf at all. But I also think it has a lot to do with the assumptions that were made at the very beginning of the announcement of this company. For most elite or streetwear brands, the popularity and value of the item is created, not necessarily by the company, but by the audience, the guys in the market that adopts it to meet a certain need, where it is then picked up by others that believe the value is fair for how wearable it is, which then grows even more so as more people see it, therefore creating even more notoriety for the brand and more justification for the price. But Sunday Red did the exact opposite, because they jumped right into a very judgmental market that can be slow to adopt anything that's not labeled as a training aid ready to fix your slice. And so that value wasn't created yet, because one, the only cool thing about it, the only cool value about it was that it was from a very good golfer well past his prime who is being talked about now less than ever, and because, as I said, there wasn't any time to build up that credibility, that reputation like Kith, like Arc'teryx, like Malbon Golf, as being luxury, as being worth it, as being a logo I want to have on my chest, even though it's not a Van Gogh, even though it's not brilliance, because it has this reputation reputation. It has this inherent value, not because of how it looks, but because of what it means. Sunday Red didn't have any of that yet, but they assumed that it would. This is all to say that if you brought to me before this entire thing came out that they were gonna miss the Masters with the drop, that their logo was gonna be so much different than everything they had before, and that they were aiming to elevate the status of golf equipment, this luxury lifestyle, that's what they were going for. Well, knowing all that, I could have probably predicted that it would not go well at all. So that makes me feel like if I, just some guy with a camera, a microphone, and a dream, could figure that out, the guys at Taylormade and Tiger Woods, who are all probably so much smarter than me, could have figured that out as well. And that makes me feel like they meant to do this. And if that's the case, maybe the whole plan didn't rely much on here and now, right? What was going to be talked about it in the first year. Maybe their plan was to take it on the chin for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, or whatever, so that they could build up that reputation slowly as having this incredibly high quality product, because it seems that they do. And that one day, 45 years from now, some kid could walk onto the golf course with a Tiger hoodie on him that doesn't even know who it relates to, because it's just another streetwear brand like Supreme, like Kith, like Malbon even, like all of these other companies. Let me know, do you think it was all planned? Because I'm really not sure. But subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps me grow the channel, get sponsors to help grow the channel even more, and make this a more permanent job. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.